CBS 46 News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
Good morning to you and welcome to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm Vince Sims, anchor for CBS 46 Morning News. It's an American dream to own your own business and be your own boss. There are lots of ways to do it, but before we tell you the right way to branch out on your own, take a look at a couple who learned a valuable lesson the hard way. Here's CBS 46's Jeff Chirico.
A CBS 46 hidden camera catches the pitch.
Well, we manage about $250 million that we are looking to put in, obviously, small businesses. Basically, what we do more than anything is provide financial guarantees.
Covering an Atlanta-based investment operation, victims claim stretches from Chicago.
Your bank account is
zero. Absolutely zero.
To the beaches of South Florida.
My loss was $114,500.
Are you just scamming people?
No, not at all.
Riddell Vincent Napper II is also known as Vince Santana on social media. He posts a Midtown Atlanta penthouse view, portraying himself as a self-made millionaire. Hashtag get money, he writes. And that he does, by allegedly trolling websites where aspiring small business owners look for investors to fund their ideas. Performing for their church in Joliet, Illinois, helps Carl and Fran Beaudry forget the pain. They lost nearly everything they own since meeting Napper online 3 years ago.
He knew that we were just a plain old Christian couple that wanted to get a dream job, a dream business going. He knew all that.
Their dream company, an online Disney travel service. They paid Napper nearly $28,000 to find them investors willing to offer a $2 million loan. The money never came. Unable to find work, the Beaudrys now rely on charity groups to put food on the table and have sold off almost all their belongings to survive.
What's it like to have to sell off your furniture?
It's hard. That's when the tears come up above the tear line, honestly.
In Miami, David Bernier hired Napper to find funding to buy this waterfront assisted living facility. But when the money never came, Bernier lost his $100,000 deposit on the property.
This was almost all of my life savings.
After Bernier threatened to go to the FBI, he says Napper paid him back his $14,500 fee. But Bernier is resigned to the fact he'll never see the $100,000.
My name is Jeff Chirico. I'm with CBS 46.
When I asked Napper about his deals, he denied he caused Bernier's losses, and at first shrugged off knowing much about Beaudry at all.
According to the contract that you had with him, that you were paid for the work, the due diligence work, to help find him investors.
Well, yeah, and I have found him one.
But when I asked him to name the investor,
I'm done talking.
the Beaudrys received this letter naming an investment company Napper claimed to represent, the Lamore Group, but they later found out it didn't exist. Experts believe the firm's emails may have come from Napper's personal IP address. And the Lamore website?
This domain name was just purchased 2 weeks before we were told about the company. So we realized that Vince had set up this website 2 weeks before so he could be prepared to tell us, oh, here's this company that's going to support you.
Our investigation turned up more about Napper's past, federal prison time on drug charges, a history of being sued more than a dozen times in Ohio, a bankruptcy, and not paying the rent on places he lives, including that penthouse with a killer view.
I think of him as a very sad individual.
Meanwhile, back in Chicago, Carl Beaudry can't find full-time work. And they don't have the money to treat Fran's psoriasis, so painful she uses a cane.
Feel angry?
When we're waiting for Medicaid to be approved so that she can walk, and when we're looking at our bank account as it being zero or even below zero, yeah, we get angry with her.
Napper named some companies he says he's helped. I called them, but none was willing to comment. Investment experts I spoke with warn against ever paying anyone up front to help you raise money. Jeff Chirico, CBS 46 News.
Very good advice right there. So we want to make sure you don't get taken advantage of, especially when you don't necessarily need to hire someone to help you start your own business. There are lots of ways that you can do it yourself. Now, joining me now, Fred Ellsbury from the Better Business Bureau. He joins us now to give us some advice. Hello, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Vince.
Watching that, what did you think of what you saw? What would be the first advice to people?
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to me is that they did a lot of research, but after the fact. All of that information, for example, that Jeff indicated is public information. Information that's available for any of us to get about the individual that may be there to help you. So, you know, check them out. Don't just rely on them checking you out and bringing investors to you. That's almost too good to be true. And you know the old saying is that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
All right.
So you really have to be cautious who you're dealing with.
Now, Fred, we want to talk about small businesses. So talk a little bit about why so many of them seem to fail.
Well, many times I think probably the one common denominator for failure is that they're undercapitalized. They simply don't have enough reserve to get them through the times. You know, it's not easy starting a new business. Many times businesses start from passions they have, things that they love to do, things they enjoy doing. In fact, I would encourage people who are thinking about starting a business to think about those things that they get most passionate about. But that passion only takes them through kind of that initial stage, you know, where you've got the people, you know, friends, you know, families, you're going to get that initial group of customers, but then to go to that next step, now you need some funding. And if that funding runs out, then that business is going to fail. Doesn't matter how much passion you had, what a great job you were doing, but we all need capital to carry us kind of beyond just that initial honeymoon period.
All right, so let's say you have the passion, you have the profit, say you've done your business module and you have the money to sustain you for a few years. Let's talk about what do you do to get started? Do you need license? How do you go about beginning in that?
Well, you certainly need to research, you know, for your type of business. You know, most locations are going to require that you need some type of business license. Even if you're working out of your home, many times you have to have a business license. If you're working out of your home, you need to check your municipality because there may be restrictions on exactly what you can do out of your home. So you may find yourself very quickly having to move from your home to now renting to another location. If you didn't anticipate that, that could be a financial strain on the business. Then many businesses require professional licenses, which you would get through the Secretary of State's office. And then take advantage of every seminar you can on human resources, how you deal with employees, what are the laws in the state as it relates to the relationship with you know, that you have with your employees. Understand in Georgia the Fair Business Practice Act, which really is a great outline of the things you need to do right to have a business.
Okay. And we talked about that. One thing you said you may need a state license. Do you have to register this business as well? Is that part of licensing or is that something separate?
Well, no, you would certainly want to register your business with the Secretary of State, and involved in that is determining just exactly what kind of legal structure you want to have for your business. Do you want to be a limited liability corporation? Do you want to be an S corporation? Do you want to be a C corporation? And all those really relate to the liability situation. You certainly want to incorporate, because if you don't incorporate, then your personal finances are at risk should there be any kind of a lawsuit against your business. Whereas if you're incorporated, now that your business is a separate entity from yourself, and that's where it would shelter your own personal assets.
Okay, so that probably leads into a little bit about tax issues and tax laws. I guess there's different laws for businesses opposed to the personal individual.
Well, you want to have a good accountant, you know, and you know, one of the first things I would do is to sit down with my accountant, maybe the person that does my personal taxes, and just say, what experience do you have in helping small businesses? If they don't have it, who would you recommend? Because you want to get to somebody who understands the tax business from a business standpoint as opposed to a personal standpoint.
And when we talk about that from taxes, also, if you're a small business, you may have more than just yourself working there. So labor laws come into play here?
Labor laws, you've got to understand that, you know, you've got payroll taxes you have to collect. You have payroll taxes that you have to pay. One of the quickest ways to get in trouble is to think, you know, from a cash flow standpoint, maybe I can put off paying this withholding to the state or the federal government. And you know, not paying your taxes, whether you're a business or a corporation, leads a lot of people down the black hole. Yeah.
You can definitely get in a lot of troubles there. So a lot
Certainly
of things
can.
you want to research there. Now let's talk a little bit about the self-assessment survey. Now I know that that's sponsored by the Georgia Small Business Development Center.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that is a great tool for you to sit down if you're thinking about, starting your own small business. Go and take their self-assessment survey. And it'll kind of, is your personality attuned to running your own business and having all of that responsibility yourself? I mean, maybe your personality is better suited in working more than independently, but for somebody else. But, it kind of touches base on some of the things we've talked about. The licensing, the passion you have for the business, what are your long-term plans? And particularly it helps you to understand how important that business plan is, not just in providing kind of a guidepost for you and for your business, but also if you're seeking investors, and not like the ones we saw Jeff talking to, but legitimate investors, whether they be banks or, they're business hubs, several of them here in Atlanta who will help small businesses get started. And one of the things is to lead them to good investors. But that investor is always going to look for a solid business plan. I mean, think of the show, The Shark Tank. The biggest thing to get you off of that show is, well, what is your business plan? How much money have you made? How long have you been in business? If you don't have answers to those questions, you're going to find that the financial support is going to dry up pretty quickly.
And tell us a little bit more about the Georgia Small Business Development Center. When somebody goes in looking for that type of help and taking the survey, is this a service they have to pay for?
No, it's a free service, and what a great resource it is. It's a part of the Small Business Administration. These development offices will help you to develop your business plan. They'll help you develop a marketing plan. They'll just really kind of help you through the process. They also have a force of retired executives who can kind of be your personal mentor, your personal consultant, to help you through those rough spots, and particularly through the growing pains when your business begins to experience some success.
Sounds like a very good resource that people need to check out.
It is.
Fred, thank you very much. We're going to come back to you a little bit later on.
Very good.
When we come back after this break, we're going to talk to a group of business owners that have successfully maintained their small business. Hear what they have to say after the break.